Hi guys, welcome to our first session for week 2. We are going to start off this lecture with a live critique of last week's work. To ensure everyone's privacy, I have renamed your files. You are now students 1 through 9. So I'm going to switch over here to Muse and we will start with student 1. Let's check out your plan view first. You've got your 2 pages that you're supposed to have. You've done your master page. Those look really good. Let's click on preview so we can see the live version going on here. Your buttons have animation. I really like your cover here. Let's shrink this so my screen's the actual size of your website. I really like the cover photo, the way you did the header. This was a very creative touch. It adds some visual interest. Very nice job there. Your copy text looks really good, and you have a working slideshow. You've got your copyright information down at the bottom. This looks good. So excellent job. This is complete for week 1, and I don't see anything that needs to be attached. You even added some animation to your font here. That looks really nice. And go back to Muse and open the next one. Sorry guys, my Muse shut down when I closed that tab. Give me just a second for it to reopen. I just did an update and I have a feeling that there must be a bug in that update. So those of you that have done the update, if you find yourself shutting down for no reason, send me an email, let me know, and I will file a ticket with Adobe and see if they have a workaround. I'm hoping it was just mine. I haven't done a computer restart since I updated, so that could be an issue. Come on. And I still have my little rainbow circle. It keeps flicking back and forth, so it's working through whatever issue it's having. Hi, Sherry. We're having some technical difficulty at the moment. Now, let's see, it'll let me open the next one. We're getting there. Come on. There we go. Okay. Ignore. Okay, let's check this out in preview. Okay, we've got a few issues here. We see how pixelated this logo looks. This needs to be made smaller so that it is not pixelated. And it looks like we've got some lines that are out of place here. Let's go back to the home page. Looks like that's on the master page. Let's click on this master page. You're going to need to shrink this back down until it's not pixelated anymore. And remember last week, your header needs to be within the header section. That is the 2 lines at the top. So we need to move all of this up. And pull your header line back down where it goes. This is your footer. That line goes down there. And we have these 2 white lines. I would just delete those. This bottom line, you don't really need a gap on the bottom since you have a white footer area. So now it still looks a little skewed. So now we need to fix up your home page. This doesn't look too bad with the lines going through, but it kind of looks funny on your active page. Your rollover, not too bad, but let's see if we can fix that up so it looks a little better. Let's go back to the master. Let's take a look at these pages. You want to show gray around it. You can do that. Let's go to rollover state. And let's change the whole button to white and then add a gray box on the outside of it. That way you get an even amount all the way around the box, instead of it being off-centered. Mouse down, you have set to black. Maybe choose your red color there. It looks like, double click, oh, nope. Mouse down. Text. White. We've got an extra box going on here. There's the black fill. No color, like that. And then we have the active. And add that stroke. That looks much better. Now we need to work on your home page itself. Looks like there's still something going on that active button. Yeah. there is still something going on your active button, but let's see if I'm closer. If it'll let me select it. There it is. There we go. That's better. Now you just need to fix your design. Move it up on your page. And your page needs to be longer. You need to select this bottom part, uncheck footer, because it is not part of your footer. Pull this back up here. And bring your page back up. And you need to rearrange your buttons so they're where they're supposed to be. You can just double click on them and then realign them. There we go. Your logo is still quite pixelated up there. It looks like you didn't download the logo, that you've taken a screenshot of it or something. And you might want to try re-downloading the logo. It is in the assessment, but that still looks pixelated, even when it's small. Okay, you want to use the actual file that was downloaded, the logo file that was downloaded. The logo file that was downloaded was not a GIF. It was a PNG. And if I place my PNG in here, file, place. There's the actual logo. And now it doesn't look pixelated. So you might try placing it again. Maybe it was just something amused when you placed it, so it made it look bad. You can always, if you're having trouble like that, go to preview page in browser, and it will actually open it up into your actual browser, and you can really tell how things look. Your images look great. You did a good job there. You've got your footer information down here. So correcting your buttons and moving your stuff up, you've still got a bit of a white space there. Let's move these two up a little bit more, a little closer. That looks much better. So just a bit of rearranging there, and you'll be good to go in fixing those buttons. That looks better. Kind of even out your white space there, fix your buttons, and things will look a lot better. Your buttons are quite big for this screen. You could even make them smaller. So right now they're pretty large. Your text is really big inside of them too. You might want to adjust that a little bit so it's not quite so big. Again, you've got it set at 30 point. And you've got some nice animation going on there with your buttons, but the text needs to be a little smaller and you need to kind of fix them so that they look a little better on the screen, and then you'll be good to go. So just some minor adjustments there and you'll be all set. Okay, let's see. You have 2 extra pages that you don't need here. Go ahead and get rid of them. Let's take a look at your preview. Your color scheme is really washing out your logo. They don't contrast very well, and that's going to need to be remedied. You definitely don't want to wash out those colors. And these colors don't really complement the Independence University colors. So I would suggest you rethink this color scheme a little bit. Again, with the buttons and the square in the middle, the problem with that is this just looks funny when you view it in a browser. Now, if you want to go into this particular square and round the corners too, it'll look better than just having a square inside those rounded buttons. Let's take a look at your home page. You have your third-party widget, your slideshow in here. Your layout wise looks fine, but I think you need to rethink the color scheme. Your colors need to complement the Independence University colors, and which means you could use a lighter shade of blue, lighter shade of red, that sort of thing, but completely going off the spectrum and using a blue-green really doesn't complement the Independence colors. So you want to make sure you change that. Your slideshow works well. You've got your headings and your paragraph text, and you've got your footer area down here. You need to move your header bar down. Oh, this is not your header bar. Let's go to your master page. Remark your header area. This is the top of your page, which means all of this, and this should be down here. Do you have, oh, you have a square there. This should be here. This is the top of your page marker. So you need to move it up so it's at the actual top of your page. And then line up your first colored bar right underneath it and then pull the other header marker right below the last colored bar. Your footer section is created correctly. All of this stuff is marked footer. Your bar here is not marked footer. Be sure you check mark that. Check mark that. Check mark your copyright. Otherwise, they will potentially float all over the page because they're not marked in that footer area. That fixes yours up. So some minor adjustments. Rethink your color scheme. Fix your header area so that it operates correctly. Looks like that needs to be moved down a little bit more. There is something up there. Your third-party widget is on here somewhere. Oh, that looks like it's on the home page. There it is. Move your date back down. It's a little big. That's better. I moved your bar a little down, a little too far. Just be sure you line it up with the top of your artboard. Rethink your color scheme. Add a little bit of space right here where your heading starts. Put that down just a little bit and move your footer area down a little bit so you have a little bit of white space there and it doesn't feel like it's sitting right on top of those buttons. You can bump your slideshow down a little bit too, just to even that up alignment wise. And you have a really good setup. You just need to make some minor changes and work on your color scheme. Make it match Independence University a little better. Okay. Let's check out the preview. You did a simple bar across here. It's pretty plain. You need to make sure that your heading is actual heading size, and I think you could work on your navigation bar just a little bit. would make this a little thicker. Align your buttons in the middle of it. Add a little bit more white space up there. Bring your header marker down underneath your navigation. Move your copyright so it doesn't sit right on the edge of that box. And then on the master page, this needs to be marked as an H1, which you've done. Make it bold. And it should be at least 24 point for a heading. And then just take this and move it down a little bit. Let's add some space here. This should be 2 paragraphs. So you need to figure out where the paragraph is supposed to break at. I think it breaks right here. And make that 2 paragraphs. Add some line spacing. On the internet, it's hard to read when text is really close together, line by line. It's hard to keep your place. Add some line space there. Just those few differences, those few changes made a big difference to your page. You could even drop your slideshow down a little bit further. And I would squint your text a little bit. Instead of having it go all the way to that line, bring it back to each side to the first column, like that. And that changes the appearance of your website. It makes a big difference. Looks like you are missing the third-party widget. I don't see any third-party widgets on here. You've got your slideshow, but you're missing the third-party widget that you need to download. So that needs to be added. And just those few adjustments, and you'll be good to go there. Up next, your header, footer, navigation should all be on the master pages. Select those and cut them. And then go back into the master page, edit, paste in place, adjust your header so it's marked correctly. Your footer so that it's marked correctly. And then erase what you have on the degree page. And let's take a look at your home page. You need to add your photos to your slideshow. You have to have 4 of them. You have a third-party widget downloaded. And then as far as your text goes, make your header bigger. Make sure you set it as a headline. 12 point is way too small. And then you have your text. Add some space. And bring your, oops, wrong arrow. Bring your footer down a little bit. And now let's take a look. Let's take a look at your scroll settings here. Progress position, top, let's change it to bottom. Animation direction, to right, to left. Styling effects. You really don't have a whole lot for your page to scroll yet. You will, and then you'll really be able to see the effects. But until you have a longer page, those scrolling effects don't do a whole lot, but these pages will grow. But now you can really see the animation. You need to add, that one has a rollover effect, but this one doesn't seem to have a rollover effect. Let's go back into your master pages and take a look here. Normal. Oh, it's set to rollover, mouse down, active. Make your active color different from all of your other colors. And if you didn't want to make it that different, you could always take your active, make that a swatch first, no color, and make your stroke that color, and make it just a little bit bigger. That way, it stands out and they're going to know what page they're on. So some minor adjustments there, and then you'll be good to go. But the master page definitely needs to be done. You need to fill in your slideshow. Up next, okay, let's check out your master page first. That looks okay. You are missing a slideshow on your home page, and your red box, move it down to underneath your header so there's some room there. You've got plenty of room to adjust that header area so that it's not sitting right at the top of your screen. Oops. I'm going to select all three of those and distribute spacing for one. And I want to center all of them vertically with the selection and move them back up here. Move this into my margin line. Move them into my margin line. That's better. Now back to your home page. Add a little bit of white space so everything's not sitting right on top of everything. And you have your text boxes here. Spread these out a little bit. Oh, I should put there. And your slideshow can go right up here, which is fine. But you need to get your slideshow in there, and you need to download a third-party widget. But just those minor adjustments make a big difference to what you see here. What I would do instead of this blue box here is the reality you need this to resize width and height so that it will grow when you need it to grow. And I think what I would do, it would make a big difference on this page. Let's go to your browser field. Come on. There it goes. And then take white boxes. White. Arrange, send it back. Come on. Oh, this ought to be done on the master page. X. And paste in place. Back. And there's one for the footer, market footer. Object range, send it back. That way your blue grows with your actual page. I would make your box stretch to browser width. Erase this box. Pull these down a little bit. And then put your slideshow in here. You're missing your heading. That needs to be added here as well. So you're going to pull these two boxes down even further. Add your heading up here. And then it'll really start looking like a website. So you have a few things to do. Make those minor corrections there. You need to put in your slideshow and download the third-party widget and place it on your page. And then you can resubmit. Okay, let's check out the master page first. This looks good. I think it's sitting a little too far, too close to that bottom line there. Move it up just a little bit. This looks good. Close that. Here's the home page. Let's go to preview. Looks like you've got some animation on that text. This looks really good. You did an excellent job. Here's your menu. You've got a nice little drop down. It is sitting really far over here. It kind of feels like it's off the page. Do you have that? Let's go back to your master page. Do you have it pinned over there? Yes, you have it pinned, and so it's going to keep it to that far left edge. You can pin it to the side, which will make it I think it will keep it a little closer. It's still marking it way out there. We want to move that closer. So unpin it. Pin top center. It's still moving it way over there. Do you have this pinned independently? Nope. I'm going to unpin it. Preview. Oh, your widget must be set to browser width, because when I scale my screen back, it looks fine. Let's see. Now it wants to go where it's supposed to. There we go. You just need to bump it over, unpin it, pull it over, and then put it back right on that margin line, and it will keep it there. There we go, home. Your animation on your tags, that looks really good. And that's your third-party widget. That looks awesome. And your navigation button works. So just work on that pinning you've got there and unpin it so it's not sitting way over here in empty space. And it stays with the side of your website. Other than that, this looks really good. You've got great pictures on your slideshow. This looks really good. And last but not least, they don't have to be on the bottom of the page. Most commonly, they are on the bottom of the page, but as users, we know that the Facebook, the social media icons will either be in the header or the footer. Most pages put them in the footer, but not all. So it is acceptable to have your social media icons in the header if that's where you want them. You just don't want to place them somewhere a user can't find them. Animation on your navigation. You did some embedded HTML code there. Let's look at the preview here. Ah, you've got this Halloween 133 days coming up next Thanksgiving. This is really cute, and it's good user experience to have things like this. Now, I think you could work on your slideshow a little bit. This little box here. Some white space. Select your thumbnails. That. line these up with your slideshow there. What you can do is pull this blue box down to make up the difference in space there. Make sure all of these match. Now the slideshow as a whole, oops. Oh, you got several boxes there. Okay, let's select them all. I think it would look better if you dropped it down and didn't try to match it with this blue line. That looks better than it did, but I think you might think about doing a rearrange here. And pulling your slideshow over, bringing your text up next to your slideshow. In both these cases, you need to add some space. And I think if you brought your heading down, it would look even better. Go into your master page here. Let's pull this up some. That, I think, looks a lot better as far as layout goes than having everything stacked on top of each other. Add a little bit more white space around your header. You've got this. Oh, it's in your text box. Let's add some more space. Oops. Let's go from here to here and then center it. Let's drop this down just a little bit more. That changes the whole look and feel of the website itself. So it's just some minor adjustments there to improve the cosmetics, the visual appearance of the website, and you'll be good to go. You might think about taking this label and putting it up here at the top of your website instead of down there in the at the very bottom. You could put it in the footer if you wanted to, but just having it stuck down there in the middle. Bring it up here. Move it over some. Adding it up there adds some visual appearance, but you see it pushes down your logo an awful long way. Now I see why you had it at the bottom. So you might think about putting this in the footer. Oh, well, you can't put it in the footer. Well, maybe mark it on the very bottom of the page on the left, or centering it. That's probably your best option for, I see now why you had it there. Yippers. I see why you had it there now. Your buttons are a little thin. Maybe try and make those just a little bit thicker. Then you're going to have to play with your color. Let's see what's going on here. Normal. Rollover should be red. Oh, wrong color, red. Go. Mouse down should be red. Active should be blue. That's better. Looks like your text. Whoops. Come on. There it goes. That's better. Make those buttons just a little bit fatter so they're not quite so thin and it doesn't look like they're hugging the words. Just a little bit of cosmetics there, and this will look really good. You did a great job on the slideshow. It's very customized. That's awesome. Okay, that was the last one that was turned in by 3 o'clock today. So anything that was turned in after that, I will give you my feedback in the comments. So let's move on to the rest of what we're talking about today. We're going to go take a look at our week 2 learning objectives, see what you guys are supposed to be working on this week and getting familiar with, and we're going to talk a little bit about the principles of effective web design. Our next lecture is at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. As a reminder, the best way to contact me is through email. It is the fastest way to get a response from me. The next fastest is text messaging and then Skyping me or giving me a call. Our learning objectives this week, you're going to identify at least 3 different design styles and layout concepts that are used in web portfolios. Determine the visual concept of the portfolio website. Choose and add social media icons to the portfolio website that fit with a web style. Determine the visual concept of the portfolio website. Choose and add social media icons to the portfolio website that fit with the website style. Create an interactive menu that includes normal, rollover, mouse down, and active state, which you actually did last week. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it is. You can't see it though. Steve Jobs, everyone's familiar with him. He invented Apple. Principles of effective web design. Websites that are not well designed tend to perform poorly and have suboptimal Google Analytics metrics. Basically what that means is like your high bounce rates, your low time on site, low pages per visitor, low conversation. Basically, people don't stay on the site. That's not what you want. You want them to stay there and look around. So what makes a good web design? Purpose. Good web design always caters to the needs of the users. Are your web visitors looking for information, entertainment, some type of interaction, or to transact with your business? Each page of your website needs to have a clear purpose and to fulfill a specific need for your website users in the most effective way possible. Communication. People on the web tend to want information quickly. So it is important to communicate clearly and make your information easy to read and digest. Think about this, guys. Anytime you get on the internet, yes, occasionally we get on there and we're just kind of messing around, wasting time, we're bored, whatever. But under normal circumstances, we use the web for what? To find information, right? Or to shop, to buy something particular. We know what we want, we search it, we find it, we buy it. We want things to be fast. The internet was meant to be a convenience, and it has become a convenience that we are all pretty addicted to. So when we find websites that we can't navigate quickly, can't find information quickly, we don't stay on them. We avoid them. We go back, hit the back button, find another website. So make sure everything you communicate is clear and it's easy to scan. All the important information is at the top of the page. We scan. How many of you actually sit down and read a website? Or do you scan the website looking for the information you want and then read that specific part? Do either of you sit and read a website, or are you guys scanning? Most of us scan. And then if we find information that we want, then we'll actually read it. But until then, we're simply scanning. And that's why putting your important information at the top of the page is most important. Some effective tactics to include in your web design include organizing information using headlines, subheadlines. Bullet lists are always easy to scan. Instead of long, windy sentences and cutting the waffle. Put the important information there, get rid of the rest. That's basically what that's saying. Make it easy to scan, put the important information there, and get rid of the rest. Typefaces. In general, sans serif fonts such as Arial, Vernada are easier to read online. Sans serif fonts are contemporary looking fonts without decorative finishes. The ideal font size for reading easily online is 16 pixels. And stick to a maximum of 3 typefaces in a maximum of 3 point sizes to keep your design streamlined. Colors. A well thought out color palette can go a long way to enhance the user experience. Complementary colors create balance and harmony. Using contrasting colors for the text and background will make reading easier on the eyes. Vibrant colors create emotions and should be used sparingly for buttons, calls to actions, that sort of thing, but not as background colors. Last but not least, white space and negative space is very effective at giving your website a modern and uncluttered look. The trend in web design right now is minimal design, meaning there is a lot of white space and websites look nice and clean and structured. A lot of that is simply because everything has to be responsive now, and it's much easier to make a website responsive when there's plenty of white space and plenty of structure, like a grid column. When everything is structured into columns, it's much easier to make that website responsive because it's easier to move things around. Images. A picture can speak 1,000 words, and choosing the right images for your website can help with brand positioning and connecting with your target audience. If you don't have a high quality professional photos on hand, consider purchasing stock photos to lift the look of your website. Also consider using infographics. Videos and graphics as these can be much more effective at communicating than even the most well-written pieces of text. Why? Because people browsing the web don't want to sit and read paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of text. It's hard on the eyes to read on your laptops, in your desktops, in your cell phones. You guys all know that. How many of you hate having to read an ebook for one of your classes? It's just difficult to read that way. It's easy to scan, but it's difficult to actually sit and read. So users don't want to see a lot of text. Give them that information in an easy to absorb way, like images, infographics, icons, things like that. Navigation. Navigation is about how easy it is for people to take action and move around your website. Some tactics for effective navigation include logical page hierarchy, using breadcrumbs, designing clickable buttons, and following the 3-click rule, which means users will be able to find the information they're looking for within 3 clicks. How many of you have noticed the breadcrumbs on websites lately? Breadcrumbs are those that small text information. You usually find it right under the header in the left-hand side of the screen, and it will show you what page you're on and how you got there. Meaning, let's say you were on a contact page. It might say home and then contact. Or if you were shopping, it might say home, women's, blouses. 3 categories, took 3 clicks to get there, and at the top you can see exactly how you got there. So if you wanted to go back to just the women's page where you could pick what kind of garments you're looking for, you would just have to go to that breadcrumb and click where it said women's, and it would automatically take you back to that page. It just simply makes navigation easier, more convenient. Remember, the web is all about the user, not the company you're doing the website for, not yourself. It's all about the user, and the more convenience you can offer them, the more likely they are to stay on your site. If they stay on your site, the more likely they are to purchase from you, sign up for your services, hire you, those sort of things. Grid-based layout. Placing content randomly on your web page can end up with a haphazard appearance that is messy. Grid-based layouts arrange content into sections, columns, and boxes that line up and build balance, which leads to a better looking website design. Again, also makes it 100 times more easy to make your site responsive because everything is in grids, everything is aligned. So you just have to rearrange those columns. So instead of the page being 4 column, when it's on tablet, it's only 3 column. When it's on a small tablet, it's only 2 column. When it's on a cell phone, it's only 1 column. And everything just shifts down and stacks on top of each other the way it needs to. F pattern design. Those of you that have had me for one of the web design classes, either 1 or 2, we took an in-depth look at the F pattern. But just for a refresher, the F pattern, eye tracking studies have identified that people scan computer screens in an F pattern. Most of what people see is in the top and the left of the screen, and to the right side of the screen is rarely seen. Excuse me. Rather than trying to force the viewer's visual flow, effectively designed websites will work with readers' natural behavior and display information in order of importance, left to right and top to bottom. Think about when you pull up a web page. Where's the first place you look? Normally, it's top left corner, right, and you scan across the header. Why? Because that's where we find important information, like if they're having a sale, if there's a coupon code, things like that. We all find it right there in the header, somewhere right at the top. So we scan that, and then we go back to the left, and we start scanning down the page. And then somewhere in there, we're going to find something we're looking for and scan a little bit further to the right. This is where that F comes in. After we've looked at that, we go back to the left. And we scan down, continue to scan down the right of the page. Why is it you think we stay away from the right-hand edge? And this has to do with when the internet first came about and websites first started being developed. What did you always find on the right-hand side of the page? That's where you usually found the third-party links, right? Links to outside websites. That's where third-party advertisements were found, just like on Facebook. All of that stuff is on the right-hand side of the page. So naturally, you developed a habit of simply staying away from that left-hand side of the page because you knew the right-hand side of the page because you knew the important information wasn't over there. So that's why this F pattern has developed. And that's why we scan websites like that. It's just habit. It's something we've learned. Load time, very important. Everybody hates a website that takes ages to load. How many of you have pulled up a website and it spun and it spun and it spun and there's this blank page and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and it just doesn't. How many of you stay there and wait for it to load? Not me. You've got about a maximum of 3 seconds for that page to start loading, or I'm going to find another website. And that is the way most people are. Make sure your pages load quickly, because there's nothing more frustrating than clicking on a link to a website and it not loading. Tips for making your load time more effective include optimizing your images. Make sure they're web ready, no more than 75 dpi. Combining code into a central CSS or JavaScript file. Instead of having a million different CSS files, concentrate them all into one file. This reduces the HTTP requests so that every few lines you're not hitting a CSS property that happens to be in another CSS sheet. So the internet is having to the web server is having to open that other CSS in order to do what it's supposed to do. If it's all in one page, it simply scans that page and it knows exactly what to do. In Minify, HTML and CSS and JavaScript compress to speed up their load time. Lucky for us, Muse does this all for you guys. It will compress all your CSS, all of your JavaScript. It will make the files that you need, link them properly so that they load easily. Mobile friendly. It is now commonplace to access websites from multiple devices with multiple screen sizes. So it is important to consider if your website is mobile friendly. This is why we will be building our websites with a responsive layout. All right, guys, we will continue with this tomorrow, and we will be doing the assignment and the assessment demos tomorrow. Anybody have any questions before we call it a night? Okay, then, ladies, I will see you guys tomorrow. You can resubmit your websites to make any corrections, and I will regrade them. Yes. Absolutely. You're welcome. See you guys later.